home smart speaker and up on TSN for Brian Hayes, Frankie Corrado, Jamie Noodles McLennan.
What's going on?
What's happening? How are we feeling this afternoon?
All good, boys. How was the panel last night? Did Duthie stay out of your way? Did he give you free reign to do whatever you want? We were doing the show yesterday, so we couldn't watch it. We don't know what happened. We saw the cold open. It was great, but we were talking. We're like, it would be great if those guys showed up and they just told, Duthie and Billy, stay out of our way, have some viz ready, and we're just going to let it fly for 30 minutes.
Well,
pretty much what happened, I would
think
say.
so.
I mean, the captain,
I think that's got
he was enjoying himself there in the corner. I'll tell you, that was Bobby Mack's spot, and there was shades of Bobby Mack. With the one shot you just went on, you radioed yourself, because TV, it's like you're allowed 15 to 25 seconds of TV. He went 90 seconds, like Duthie staring him down. Hayes was on fire last night. I was proud. I was proud.
The thing that people wouldn't know is if the camera is just on Hayes, Duthie's in the back. He's trying to get people's attention. He's like, it's coming back to me. Like, guys, it's coming back to me. And Hayes would just be like pushing him off. Like, I'm still going here. I got stuff to say.
Well, and you're referencing the Sports Center hit that we did to start the night, which was that was the starter that I went long. And I think what happened there was a classic example of worlds colliding because – listen, those guys, they're the best in the business. Like James Duthie and Mike Lane and Billy Dotson, the whole crew, everyone behind the scenes, on the floor, everyone helping out. And it's their world. That's the world they live in. Like in Noodles, Frankie, you guys have done a lot of panels over the years. You know what it's like. I've done a few now. I'm familiar with it, but it's kind of a new world to me. But at the same time, when we're on it, it is understood that it's the panel first. Obviously, we have a reason to be there. The Leafs are playing tonight, but it's an overdrive mashup, and the boys are going to be there. So I think they loosen up a little bit in terms of allowing for a little bit more freewheeling, so to speak. And I think what happened there on that Sports Center hit was I thought we had kind of pre-planned a couple of things we were going to hit, and Duthie threw something else at me off the bat, which was fine, and I can react to it on the fly, but I gave that a little bit more time than it was necessary for the reaction, and then I just said right through the yellow light, and I started getting to the point I said I was going to get to, and that led to like a 90-second answer, and that's how the night got started with the Sports Center hit. Basically me chewing up time that Owen Noodles were supposed to get.
Yeah, I love it.
So,
get your money's worth. That's
a retrospective
you know
apology on that one. But outside of that, it was a blast. We had a great time last night.
We had a blast.
Awesome.
And you know what, though? I felt it's when you get a unique situation like that, regardless of what the game was like, I felt like we were kind of charged up to bring some material anyways. And we were tested. You get a dud in that first. Like, what was the shot? 16 to 1?
15-1. 15-1.
And we're still like, okay, hey, glass half empty, glass half full. Like, hey, they got a chance to win this game. And sure enough, like that was basically, I mean, it was Keith Bauer's stunt double, and it was Austin Matthews. That's what it was.
That's right. It was Anthony Stolarz had himself a Vezina game last night.
He did.
He has. Listen, I think it's Hellebuck and Gustafsson who are clearly 1-2 in the league. Noodles, Frankie, you can argue that if you want.
In there.
I can't imagine you would, but maybe you would. But I think at this point it's Gustafsson for sure. It was Hellebuck earlier in the year. It felt like a lock 15 games in. When they were 15-1, it was like just give them the award. I think it's actually evened out a little bit because prior to last night, Winnipeg had kind of hit a bit of a wall. But I think Stolarz, when you look at his stats and you look at his numbers and you look at a game like last night where the Leafs – that was a controlled scrimmage in the first period, run by Sheldon Keefe, right?
Like that was. Both teams were looking at Sheldon Keefe, going, "Okay, you're going to run the drill here," because there was familiarity to it. But you're right. That's a great term for it, controlled scrimmage. That's what
it looked like. That was what it was in the first last night, and yet it was 0-0 because of Stolarz. Like the Leafs had nothing, absolutely nothing. It wasn't like they were missing the net or whatever. That came eventually in the second period when Matthews had all those breakaways and 2-on-1s and he couldn't close. But Stolarz was phenomenal last night. He was great in the second period as well. And even in overtime, didn't get tested a ton, but had to be there when he had to be there. And That's what it was. That was the Stolars game last night in basically his hometown.
And
just an incredible night for him.
Isn't it crazy that, Sheldon Keefe is on the other side with New Jersey, and how many times when he was the coach of the Leafs did we see that script where the Leafs outshot, outplayed, outperformed, and then they got goalied by the Vemelkas of the world? And, Stolars is having a great year. He's not, a super well-established starter at this point in the NHL, although he's working his way towards it this year. But the Leafs were on the other end of that, where their goalie makes the saves, keeps them in it, buys them enough time that eventually they get, the garbage type depth goal that they desperately needed by Holmberg, who desperately needed a goal. And then it gives Matthews a little time to get that one extra chance because he had missed 3 grade A chances at that point in the game already. All that just buys you time to find a way to win the game. And ultimately that's what the Leafs did. And I don't think there's been a lot of time bought by their goaltenders in the last few years for them to do that type of stuff.
No, nothing to that extent, or even really the extent that both goalies have supplied all year. You look at it now, Stolars has started 16 games. He's 9-5-2, and he has a .928 save percentage. And all the underlying numbers, expected saves, expected goal, all that's it's just elite.
Couldn't have asked for more.
Elite across the board. More. And even when you get to Joseph Woll is 7-3. He's got a .919 save percentage. And neither of them have been pulled. Neither of them have been a gas can. 3 goals on 5 shots. You said it while we were watching the game last night, Noodles. He was getting snowed in 2 or 3 minutes into the game, off draws, set plays. It's here we go. He faced 4 or 5 shots almost immediately, and he looked so comfortable, and then he was in it. Then he had a bit of a sweat on. It's this guy's here to play tonight. You couldn't predict he would do what he would do 3 or 4 minutes in, but you could tell he was prepared to play, and he was great last night. He was phenomenal.
That's where I went. We were talking before the game, and I brought that stat up. I was nobody's been pulled. Nobody's really had an off night a week. The Florida game, Stolars called himself out. I think he just wanted it. He'd gotten his Stanley Cup ring. He just wanted it, but he wasn't red rotten. The team didn't play well in Florida. Florida's allowed to play well some nights too. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't say that was a terrible performance. But if you look at it, I said to Hayes and I said, we haven't seen a goalie pull. We haven't seen anything like that. And that game kind of it smelled like something New Jersey was coming off being shut out. They were a little pissed. And I said to Hayes about 4 saves in, about 3-4 minutes into the game, I said, he's going to be fine. But if he was off, that's 3-0 before the 5-minute mark.
Over.
And the game's over.
Yeah.
But he was brilliant. And coming back to, you made the comment earlier, Brian, about putting yourself in the Vezina conversation. I think he's going to get to the amount of games where he will be in that conversation for sure, because it was Ullmark that had 49, I think, that won it. Even if it's something with a 4 in it, if it's in the high 4s, you can be considered. And to me, yes, he has to be, if you do a top 3 to 5, absolutely he's 100% in. I don't know. I'm not voting today. But yes, Hellebuyck has to be in there for his body of work at the starting of the season. And now, they hit the ditch recently, but they put up an 8 spot last night on Boston.
They'll be fine.
That was wild last night.
Yeah. But the thing is I think Hellebuck's there. I think Gustafson's there. And then at 3, Stolars, there's other guys, but why not? That's my point is his name. He's had such an amazing start. And people were mad at me last week when I was like, just leave the sunglasses alone and stop pucks. That, there was an old man yelling at the clouds. Yes, but I've told you off air, Brian, I'm so passionate towards Stolars because I think it's an amazing story, and I just want him to play so well. And last night, I think that was his best game as a Leaf. It was unbelievable, and it reminded me of Game 1 where Montembeault stole that game against the Montreal Canadiens. That was Stolars last night. That's how good. I thought New Jersey played fantastic.
Yeah.
Sheldon Keefe can say, you know what, guys, you play like that 95 out of 100 times, you're going to win that game. Doesn't matter. They got goalie. Stolars stole the game.
He did.
The Toronto Maple Leafs may be taking a new approach to salary management, which could directly impact Mitch Marner's contract negotiations. During Kyle Dubas' tenure as general manager, the team didn't hesitate to spend heavily, and this trend began with a 6-year extension signed by Marner in 2019. At the time, Marner's $10.9 million annual cap hit set the market for superstar wingers, surpassing comparable players like Mikko Rantanen of the Colorado Avalanche, who signed a 6-year deal with a $9.25 million annual cap hit. Now, however, times seem to be changing. TSN's Pierre LeBrun recently reported that the Maple Leafs have implemented an internal salary cap, aiming to ensure no player earns more than captain Auston Matthews, who signed a 4-year extension worth $13.25 million per season in August 2023. The team's primary concern revolves around Marner's agent, Darren Ferris, who, according to LeBrun, might push for a percentage of the total salary cap instead of a fixed dollar amount. This could result in Marner's cap hit exceeding Matthews' $13.25 million, conflicting with the Leafs' new financial strategy. Ferris is known for driving negotiations to the limit, often taking his clients to free agency. This raises fears that discussions between Marner and the Leafs could drag on until July 1st, giving Marner and his camp all the leverage in negotiations. Another complicating factor is the rising market. LeBrun noted that Mikko Rantanen believes he could secure $14 million per season as a free agent. This sparks the question, could Marner demand even more? And would Ferris take that gamble, knowing the Leafs might opt to move on and sign another player? Marner has made it clear on multiple occasions that Toronto is where he wants to be. As a local player with deep ties to the city, he's expressed his desire to spend his entire career wearing the blue and white of the Leafs. However, staying with the team may require him to accept less than market value, especially if the front office remains committed to its new salary structure. Such a sacrifice could be vital for the team's collective success and to avoid financial issues that have plagued the recent past. While negotiations are still in the early stages, it's evident that Marner's future with the Leafs is at stake. Maple Leafs fans may need to prepare for the possibility of significant changes, but they can also trust in the player's commitment to the city and the franchise to find a compromise. The Maple Leafs' decision to implement an internal salary cap reflects a broader shift in their team-building philosophy. After years of prioritizing top-end talent with hefty contracts, the organization appears determined to strike a balance between superstar contracts and depth throughout the roster. This strategy aims to avoid the pitfalls of past seasons, where a lack of financial flexibility often left the team vulnerable in critical playoff moments. For Mitch Marner, this shift creates a unique challenge. On one hand, his value to the Leafs is undeniable. A consistent top scorer and elite playmaker, Marner has been instrumental in driving the team's offense. On the other hand, his ability to command a salary that rivals or exceeds Auston Matthews could put the Leafs in a difficult position, especially with a potential need to strengthen other areas of the roster. As the 2023-24 season progresses, the Leafs must weigh the potential consequences of sticking to their cap philosophy. Losing a homegrown talent like Marner would undoubtedly sting for fans and the organization alike. However, allowing one player to dictate financial terms beyond the team's structure could hinder long-term success and force painful sacrifices elsewhere. Adding to the complexity is the looming free agency of William Nylander. If the Leafs are to stick to their internal salary cap, they may also face challenges in retaining Nylander, who could command a significant raise. Balancing contracts for both Marner and Nylander within the new framework could prove to be the ultimate test for Toronto's management team. Another factor at play is the team's ultimate goal, winning the Stanley Cup. While star players like Marner and Matthews are crucial, history has shown that depth and balanced rosters often prevail in the postseason. If the Leafs fail to manage their finances effectively, they risk falling short of building a championship-caliber team, even with elite talent. For Marner, the decision to stay with the Leafs might come down to more than just dollars. His connection to the city, the fans, and his teammates could be deciding factors. If he prioritizes legacy and loyalty over maximizing earnings, there's a strong possibility that he'll work with the team to find a deal that benefits both parties. Negotiations will also test Darren Ferris, known for his hardline tactics in securing lucrative deals for his clients. While pushing for top dollar is expected, Ferris may need to weigh the risks of alienating the Leafs management and fanbase. A prolonged stalemate could damage Marner's relationship with the team and its supporters. The Leafs management, led by general manager Brad Treliving, faces a pivotal moment. Treliving's reputation as a negotiator and team builder will be on full display as he navigates this high-stakes scenario. Striking the right balance could solidify his tenure in Toronto, while a misstep might set the team back for years. For Maple Leafs fans, the coming months will be filled with anticipation and uncertainty. Marner's future, along with the team's ability to stay competitive under financial constraints, will likely dominate conversations as the season unfolds. Supporters can only hope that the team's new approach leads to greater playoff success and, ultimately, the elusive championship. In the end, the outcome of these negotiations could redefine the Maple Leafs' identity for years to come. Whether it results in retaining Marner or reshaping the roster, the team's commitment to an internal salary cap signals a clear focus on long-term sustainability. Fans will be watching closely, hoping for a resolution that keeps the team's core intact and their championship dreams alive. As the negotiations with Mitch Marner progress, another layer of complexity is added by the external competition in the NHL market. Teams with more cap space and fewer restrictions could easily present lucrative offers to Marner if he reaches free agency. The Leafs are not only negotiating with Marner but also indirectly competing with other franchises willing to outbid them for his services. One example of this is Mikko Rantanen, whose potential $14 million value on the open market highlights the growing demand for elite wingers. If Rantanen secures such a deal, it could set a precedent that Marner's camp would use as leverage. The Leafs, however, must remain disciplined, as breaking their internal salary cap for Marner could lead to similar demands from other key players down the line. The looming specter of free agency means the Leafs have a limited window to strike a deal. If negotiations drag on into the off-season, the leverage shifts heavily in favor of Marner and his agent. Darren Ferris, known for his strategic patience, could use this to push for maximum value, putting even greater pressure on the Leafs management to make a decision. This scenario also places significant pressure on head coach Sheldon Keefe. Managing a team amid ongoing contract uncertainty can disrupt chemistry and focus. Keefe will need to ensure that the team remains united and focused on their performance, even as the media and fans speculate about Marner's future. Meanwhile, the Leafs core group, including Auston Matthews, Morgan Rielly, and John Tavares, will likely play a role in influencing Marner's decision. The camaraderie among the players and their collective drive for a championship could persuade Marner to accept a deal that aligns with the team's financial structure. On the flip side, the Leafs could explore contingency plans if a deal with Marner doesn't materialize. Trading Marner would be a bold move, but it could bring significant assets in return, potentially bolstering the team in areas like defense or secondary scoring. This option, while unpopular with fans, might be necessary to maintain roster balance. The timing of these decisions is also critical. With the trade deadline months away, the Leafs must assess whether keeping Marner without an extension risks losing him for nothing in free agency. A preemptive trade could avoid this scenario, but it would also signal a significant shift in the team's short-term goals. Fan sentiment will undoubtedly influence the team's approach. Marner is not just an exceptional player, he's a fan favorite and a symbol of homegrown talent succeeding in Toronto. Losing him could lead to backlash, especially if the team struggles in the aftermath of his departure. The broader NHL landscape also plays a role. As other teams navigate their own salary cap challenges, the Leafs can learn from their successes and failures. Organizations like the Tampa Bay Lightning and Vegas Golden Knights have shown the value of balancing star power with depth, offering a potential blueprint for Toronto's future.